I was thinking you were gonna forget about me.
I'm coming for you, little Billy.
Welcome back to Deadly Creatures.
We're happy to have you, folks. Cuddle up with the fuzziest little buddies.
So yeah, I told you we'd be coming back to this map again.
We're gonna see that wheel a lot, aren't we?
Well, you want another look at that skull.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, so Gila lizards, especially when you fight them as the tarantula, they're incredibly glitchy. We'll be seeing a little later, but the collision detection just does not agree with them at all.
Yeah, that is not working right.
Yeah, especially since they have a tendency to move around a lot. My theory is that the Gila lizards in the Deadly Creature universe are actually from an alternate dimension, and that due to the time paradox, they are actually vibrating in and out of space and time, which would explain the visual glitches.
Kind of like the Flash. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that explains the visual glitches.
Makes sense.
All right, and any other theories as to what that skull could be?
It looks like a deer of some sort.
Well, could be. I don't know. I mean, this is either Arizona or California, so I don't think that's deer country. Yeah, that's a better shot of it.
That is a cow.
Okay. Hey, more of these boys, the Tarantula Hawks.
Tarantula versus Tarantula Hawk.
Yeah, fighting Tarantula Hawks with the Tarantula is fairly straightforward, especially if you can get them into that loop of the A plus waggle combo.
Easy enough.
Yeah, this is a mandatory fight. There's that sort of invisible wall that goes up there in a web jump. Very strangely placed group of mites there, especially because there's actually no collectibles over there. Not entirely sure why that's there.
Thanks. I would say it was to impede a backtrack, but it's not like the mites are really impeding that. Lucky cricket.
Definitely prefer cricket over baseball. Alright, so in a previous practice take, I was able to kill this flame-kneed tarantula in one strike by essentially causing it to teeter over the edge and get a ring out. Was not so lucky this time.
So what you're saying is the Undertaker threw mankind off of Hell in a Cell through the Spanish.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, I don't get that reference, but okay. You're the wrestling guy. I assume you know what you're talking about.
The important part of that is that this fight didn't detract from the fact that the Undertaker threw mankind off of Hell in a Cell and through the Spanish announcer's table. Literally.
So in this video, we are going to be getting two different moves for the Tarantula, which are arguably the two best moves the Tarantula can get in the game.
And this is early, all things considered.
Yeah, they stopped giving new moves for the Tarantula and the Scorpion in chapters 5 and 6. And from then on, they just the upgrades are just increasing your power, your attack power.
The creatures become deadlier and deadlier.
So here's our first really good move is the Stealth Pounce. So we're going to have to find a good vantage point to show off the Stealth Pounce. Right about here looks good. So we're going to hold down the C button and point at the screen.
What?
And, huh!
Oh!
Yep, that works on pretty much any enemy. Although only the small ones can get one-hit killed. It's very, very close to being game-breaking, but not quite. There are a couple of restrictions on it that prevent it from being truly overpowered.
So they did kind of try to balance it.
Yeah, like for instance, if I were to use the stealth pounce now, the amount of damage that is done to enemies that are aware of you is significantly decreased. And if you do it enough on enemies, it will enemies will actually learn to start to block it if you do it on one enemy for long enough.
Okay.
So basically, it's there to help set up an ambush, or if you're able to retreat from a fight and then set up a stealth pounce. So the path we're taking here is an optional path with a leaf cricket, as well as a conversation that is very easy to miss. It's a conversation that you probably some players haven't heard.
A conversation that
Yeah,
probably advances the story, but you don't get to hear it.
it doesn't advance the story, but it is pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
Hey, look at this weird rock. Is this like, what's it called? Pumice. Is that it? Pumice? Like for rubbing off your dry skin and all that kind of thing?
Try it out. See for yourself.
Huh. It all fell apart.
That's 'cause it's dried horse crap.
What? What'd you do that for?
I didn't do nothing. You're the one rubbing crap on himself, and stop messing around.
You know, I like that Struggs, as awful of a person as he is, still has a sense of humor.
I was worried it was going to be Chekhov's horse crap.
No. There is one equally amateurish conversation in the next video that may or may not be foreshadowing, but this horse crap will not, does not have any relevance to the story. Also, interesting thing, if you use the stealth pounce on crickets, their bodies will actually remain on the ground. It's the only time that happens in the game. Every other time you kill an enemy in this game, their bodies will disappear.
But the crickets don't despawn.
The crickets do not despawn.
Huh.
But only if you use the stealth pounce on them.
That's a sick bite. Man, I'm going to dig that out. I'm going to be the only tarantula riding through this desert.
Gonna sneak up on you and whack you over the head before you know what's hit you. I call it the tarantula tackle. The tarantula tackle. There you go.
Not to be confused with the Stone Cold Stunner.
Alright, this area is always confusing, and we're actually going to be seeing this part in a couple of other chapters, and it never fails to confuse me.
Yeah. Being on the wall for a little while wouldn't bother me. Being on the wall long term would just disorient me.
Yeah, thank God for the hint arrow. I usually don't like it when games have like a blatant arrow pointing you in the right direction, but A, this one is optional, and B, it's kind of necessary because the level design is definitely going more towards creating a realistic environment versus creating a one that's good for playing. Also, this lizard here is scripted to chase him. You can't actually attack him at all. You can't even use the stealth pounce on him. As soon as you hit that invisible plane, he runs away. But we're gonna get one on him. We're gonna get one on him and set up an ambush. Now, if you see those blue anime speed lines on the side, that means that whatever enemy you currently have locked on does not see you, and that means you're going to get that extra damage bonus.
Okay.
So if you don't see
So-
those blue speed lines, it means you're going to get there's a little bit of a damage decrease when you use the pounce attack.
Convenient and obvious visual cue.
There's also a little bit of a sound cue as well. It's kind of hard to hear because we've got our volume lowered a bit for the recording, but when you hear it later, once I've uploaded this to YouTube, it'll be a bit more obvious. Most of the leaf crickets in this area are pretty out in the open, but there's a few that are sneaky.
You weren't kidding when you said they went a little crazy with the collectibles.
Yeah, this particular chapter does a really good job of establishing height and showing where you are relative to where you were. The stealth pounce also has a height restriction, so I would not be able to pounce on that spider I was looking at before.
Dive halfway across the map? No.
No, you can pounce from pretty high up, just not that high up. So now we're going to use a web jump over on this cactus. And eventually we'll be doing a little bit more sort of platforming and jumping puzzles later on with the web jump. It's pretty interesting, especially in chapter 7, which is actually a chapter I generally despise, but there is one platforming section I really like in it.
You know, I am starting to think that this map is giving you the sensation of being big, but it's not that big.
Right where I said it was.
You got the map?
What's left of it. Help me up.
This don't make any sense. What are these squiggly things all over?
Octopus cactus. Come on. Grab the shovels.
What about the coffin?
Oh, it ain't going nowhere.
The squiggly things were actually letters. Wade is illiterate, he's just too polite to admit it. I mean, come on, it would be out of character for him.
Oh, please tell me we're gonna see the coffin.
We might. Yeah, I'm just pointing out the corpse there. I'm not. I think I was intending to show off the cricket corpses at that point in the video.
Surprisingly detailed dead bodies when they stick around.
Yeah, I guess they usually just disappear to dust most of the time to save on processing power. And here's our next power, the feed. This is the only reliable way that the tarantula is able to regain health. And it's really only on the more powerful enemies, because you have to do it when the enemy is overturned, like when they're on their back. And we'll be seeing how that works in a little bit.
Interesting.
More of those branches over there. Tarantula's not going to be able to get through there, but maybe the scorpion will at some point. Also, pay attention to the lizard there. What? It disappeared.
He kind of goes straight up over the plane.
I was considering at some point editing in that sort of that swing sound effect that the Assassin's Blade makes from the Assassin's Creed games. The first time that the stealth pounds comes in, but I thought of that too late. So you briefly saw the prompt there for the feed. We'll be looking at that a little later.
So you just missed the opportunity there?
Yeah, the lizards in particular, they have a really short window. This is
Gotcha.
another place where I went in a little too early on this. In my practice run, I was able to catch the tarantula hawk completely unawares, and I stealth pounced all of the tarantula hawks in this area, and it was very satisfying. But alas, in the real take, because apparently my IQ drops by 50 points whenever I hit record, I didn't get the chance.
Happens to the best of them.
Yeah, it's the new video game generation equivalent of stage fright. We're also going to get a new ability later on. It's a little more context sensitive, but it's still pretty cool.
The movement around this map as the tarantula is really satisfying.
Yeah, really, it's the movement. And speaking of movement, there are some weird things going on in this map. Like, why are there so many grubs upside down? That's kind of curious. But yeah, movement is definitely the more satisfying part of the tarantula's combat, or of his gameplay compared to the combat with the scorpion.
Oh no, it's a stampede.
Group fight, group fight. I like these odds. Yeah.
Should have brought more guys.
Alright, so here's how feed works. You have to hold down...
Oh!
Yeah, you have to hold down the A button on the Wii remote, and then waggle. But you have to you're holding down on the A button as you're approaching the fallen enemy. See, especially with the lizards, their timing is really, really small.
Waggle to consume mechanics.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and the harder you waggle, the more HP you will drain. And it even works even when you're at full HP, because you will continue to drain enemy HP even though it's not restoring any of your own health.
Oh, that's awesome. Perhaps a little OP, but awesome.
Well, it's not quite as OP because not every attack will cause knockdown. Only certain attacks will.
Oh, poor little lizard.
Yeah, that's our last major ability for the tarantula, is the rather context-sensitive ability to crawl on the ceiling.
Consume him to attain his powers. Oh, okay. Now the maps are going to get confusing.
Yeah. We're on the ceiling.
Oh.
And kind of like how when we're on the walls, the game kind of limits your ability to jump. It's sort of like this little lunge. When you're on the ceiling, it just completely restricts your ability to jump at all.
Which makes sense. I mean, gravity.
Yeah, if you hit the Z button on the nunchuck, it does nothing.
All these grubs, though.
Yep.
It is getting really hard for me to tell if you're on the ceiling or not.
At this point, I don't think we are. Because there was some of that extra area that we couldn't access before. We couldn't access only with the scorpion. Anyway, here's another really impressive vista coming up. I really like this area here.
Ooh.
This, I think, was taken straight from a piece of concept art, if I remember correctly.
It's like a bramble patch of some sort?
Yeah, pretty much. So, we're going to fight another enemy here. I especially like, it uses the fog from the in-game engine really well. to establish it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a horned lizard. So we're going to use the tried and true cheese method of using the stealth pounce on him.
Clip through all the brambles on the way over.
Yeah, it takes high priority over everything. And we're going to try to knock him down. And of course, we're going to feed on him. Yeah, this guy can kick your ass pretty quickly. If you, yeah, especially that swipe attack. If the AI wants you to, he could stun lock you in that swipe attack. There was one particular chapter, I think it was chapter 8, where it was an especially bad situation. Now this is one attack where he just sort of stands still. I haven't quite figured out how to deal with this.
Break him out of it. Yeah.
Until he just decides to go to another phase. With either the Scorpion or the Tarantula. Because this is not a boss fight. This is a regular enemy type. Albeit a strong enemy type, but a regular enemy type regardless.
This is their equivalent of the heavy weapon guy.
Yeah, that's also that red acid that he spits. That has a habit of homing in on you, even at trajectories that should be physically impossible relative to the position of the horned lizard's mouth.
So he gets cheap shots in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's it for this video.
Yay! We made it to the end.
Yes, we did. And next up is Chapter 6. Chapters 6 and 7 are pretty universally regarded as the worst chapters in the game. The good news is that we're getting those out of the way, and then from then on, it's smooth sailing to the end of the game. And the final boss that I've been hyping up for the entirety of this LP. I have now finished recording all of the footage for this LP, and I just finished the final boss last night, and I got a pretty good take for it. It's not the take I wanted, but I think it's the take it deserved, given how this LP has gone so far.
Robo Strugs.
I'm not going to say anything.